Today we play American style. It means that I would like to hear whip speeches after two constructive ones. And as usual, we play 5 minutes, so you have five of them to present your arguments. So I hope you had a good week. And just to start holidays, I would like also to ask you to start these debates. And Prime Minister, you will have 5 minutes to present your ideas.
So the motion for today's debate is that this House would prefer to live in a world where personal success and failure are seen as a consequence of random factors rather than personal choice. Now, what this essentially means is that when somebody achieves success, that other people and in general it is more of a it is a consequence of random things that that person has no effect on rather than their own personal dedication or personal life choices. Now, this has multiple effects in reality on how other people perceive success. And the main benefit of this, I would say, would be that if if a person fails, for example, at something, it could be anything, it is not necessarily seen as that person is not necessarily seen as a loser. It's not necessarily seen as their fault. Now, if we look at the grander scope of things, that is a pretty good thing because that relieves the social pressure of a lot of people. As for example, if a person fails an exam, that means that it's usually their fault they failed it, and usually when you say that when that person says that they had a bad teacher or something, usually that doesn't matter. Other people just blame it on that person, and that really puts a lot of social pressure on that person, which is a really bad thing because the amount of like pressure people get in school is it's too high, obviously. So, and that thing, those things can cause something like depression and stuff like that. And in general, perceiving failure as a consequence of random factors rather than personal choice would really change in how we perceive success. It would also, I would say, it would also make it so that people didn't seem like they are more important than others because, for example, people who are successful think they're better. This would eliminate that, as it would remind them that it's not entirely up to them that they were this successful. And that was it for my speech. Thank you.
Thank you for a fine speech. And to continue these debates, I would like to call on the leader of the opposition.
All right, so as my fellow over here just mentioned, the way we define success can be can differ from person to person. Some people might say that it is to earn more money is to be successful. Others, it could be that to do a certain task, they if they succeed doing this task, they are successful. So it's basically based on the person's own views of how what they define as success or failure. And in a world where uh, there is like no specific definition of success and failure, it'll be really hard to actually make anything efficient if success and failure were a consequence of random factors. So, take the example of a volleyball player. If they were to be successful in their match, if everything was a consequence of random factors, then it is simply just it's simply just a chance that they would win. But if it was a personal choice, they could basically play or learn from it and make decisions that will help them improve in this specific field or sport. Just like that, this example can be moved over to let's say a small business or a person's own work or school. So what I'm trying to say is that it's going to become really hard to be efficient if like success and failure were a consequence of random factors. And as a result, it might also cause people to be less confident in general because now there is no defined success and failure, and it's all just happening because of a chance, not because of something that you personally did. So there's it's all just luck. So people are going to be less confident. The fields are going to be inefficient, and actually, personal choice leads to people being more confident as well. Like having the choice and accomplishing something will lead to a person developing skills and thus becoming more confident in a specific field. And not only does this promote more competitiveness in the specific field, but it also is really good because this way, not only does our country get to compete with other countries at a similar level, but it also puts us on a very equal scale, and it actually somewhat leads to development as well because technically if we all are becoming more efficient, then eventually it will also come to show in our work. And when it comes to showing our work, we will become more productive as well, because that is what efficiency is: becoming more productive at the cost of less resources. So we will, as a short, become more developed as a society if we were to give more weightage to personal choice. And that's about it for my constructive speech. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing up your arguments. And to continue the speech, I would like to hear the second speech from from the government. You will have 5 minutes to bring up your ideas.
As you may have already understood, our team believes that role of luck in success in life is much more than people might think. Uh, Mainly because of people starting asking themselves, what does it to take to be successful? What are the secrets of most successful people? But sometimes answers makes people really um, unhappy in disappointment in their lives, because sometimes um, the way which people took, I mean, people used to finish was so hard, and these facts make people really really unhappy. Uh, in recent years, a number of studies and books have suggest that luck and opportunity can play a much larger role than we ever imagined. That's because um, luck will make people more happier about their position in their life, because if they will look at more successful people, they will say that they are more luckier than they are. So they will not be more critical about themselves. Um, yes. Well, as I said, a lot of books, a number of studies and books have suggested that luck and opportunity can play a much larger role. Um, this including financial comments, business, sports, arts, music, literature, and science. Uh, their argument is not that luck is everything. Of course, talent matters. Instead, the data shows that we are missing a really important part of the success picture if we focus only on personal characteristics. And people are happy. If people can focus more if they're happy, because when they're happy, they are not bored. They're not worried about something. I think that's all. Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to thank you for your fine speech. And to continue this debate, I would like to hear the last constructive speech in it. So, the Deputy of Opposition, you're welcome.
Okay. So Getting success with luck or having some random factors on your side can be very unhappy in the long run, but in the short run obviously you will be happy. And here we can say, for example, you can say a person who just finds some money on the ground, a bag containing money of, like, you can say, of $100,000. He's just gonna be very happy in the short run, but he will never think about the future, how well he can effectively use the money. And he will just think of using the money for fulfilling his dreams, and just wasting it on some useless crap. So he will just think that it's so easy, that luck is very good and you get happy with it. but he will never know. Maybe when the money finishes, he has nothing left. He might think of he might think of the miracle can happen again. So you never know if the random success factors or the luck is on your side or not. So which can lead to unhappiness in the long run. And the other side, being successful with a personal choice, you have satisfaction of getting the same amount of money by hard working and earning them. So as a result, a person who gets the money by random factors, for example getting on the ground, he will be very happy in the short run. And getting that much money in just one day, he will be very happy and never think about like future. And the person who earned by hard working, he will be very happy in the short run as well, because he's working and he's earning. But he will be happy in the long run as well, since he's hard working, he's achieving something every day, and he will be successful about that. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. And to the first speech of analysis, I would like to call whip speaker of government side.
Okay, so as a speaker, as a whip speaker of a government, I would like to sum up and show you our analysis and our arguments one more time, and collectively explain you step by step why our side has good arguments to support the motion. So, first of all, success and failure are seen as a consequence of random factors rather than personal choice. It's very important to see the word rather here, and that the personal choice is playing a role. But our world, when we admire this, that random factors that we explain, there are luck, there are place you are born in, there are just people you meet, there are just random factors that are just not controlled by anyone, are very good to admire. And why? The random factors play a really huge role if you think about it, because we explained the two sides of success with luck that's implemented in it. And there is still personal choice, but it's never possible to achieve success without any piece of luck, any piece of help. Either it's financial, either it's academic, either it's just personal relations with people you actually meet. And you meet people by randomness. It's just not controlled by yourself. You cannot achieve success as well. You cannot fail only by yourself. And it will be good in a society because people would view failure as as an unlucky um, occurrence that is not controlled by person, but it's good because then people won't be affected by it that much. People won't feel like, okay, I'm a loser. No, it will be alright. I was unlucky. I wasn't good enough. It, it meant that both of these things connected, and I lost. I failed. But on the other side, if I become successful, society would admire that me and people I met, luck, any random thing, completed together to form a success. And I think society would admire that on very stages. Either people would feel better, we would admire people that are living in worse conditions because it's pretty much random factor where you're born, where are you financially right now. We would admire that these people, even though the random factors are pretty much against their flow of what they want to achieve, but they're still doing it. And then it's way more admired when person that possibly has worse starting point will come up with really good success, because then we see that okay, random factor played role here, also personal choice also played role here, and we admire both these things. It's way more healthier. Our society will become better, would think better of people. People also wouldn't take that much of a attack from other people. What I mean by attack is we can take an example of a personal relationship. When two people are breaking up, they're separating, there will always there's always a view from the outsider point of view. People would think, oh, okay, this person did something bad, but this also happened in their relationship. No one could ever expected that thing. Okay, so it's not this person's choice. It's not their fault. I think that summarizes our point of view and our side. Thank you very much.
Thank you for a fine whip speech. And to the last speech in this debate, I would like to call whip speaker of the opposition side.
All right then. So after listening to all the speeches so far, I feel like there are some points which I do not really agree with. Specifically, the point which says that if a person becomes successful from random factors, they will be celebrated. I feel like that will not be the case because half the time when people do become successful, they spend almost 75% of their efforts trying to prove that they actually came here with a struggle and they deserve to be this successful, so they tend to become insecure and defensive about being successful actually. So if you were to just become if everyone was just to become successful from random factors, people will actually tend to become even more insecure because now they have literally nothing to show for being successful, while others who are who might deserve even better, uh, but they failed due to random consequences. They're the losers here. And so what if society will not blame them as losers? They themselves will always feel bad because the luck wasn't on their side. So random factors did not really help them. Uh, and as my other fellows just said, that personal choice still plays some sort of role here. So does random factors if you consider that personal choice is what leads to success and failure. There will always be a random factor along with personal choice, but how about we think of it this way, that personal choice and personal success and failure are more of a consequence of personal choice rather than random factors, because random factors of course they do come into play, but they do not come into play as much as personal choice. So let's say a person's goal is to go to a esteemed university, and over here the personal choice would be them sending their would be them applying to this university and actually, trying to show their efforts with their grades rather than just rely on random factors and luck, that they actually somehow find this person out of nowhere, and this will literally just lead to nothing. That's what it is to me, because out of out of 10 people, only 2 people will be found thanks to random consequences. But if everyone was to give it their all and everyone was to do everything according to their own choices, things would be more efficient. People would be more confident. People would be more skilled as a whole. We would develop more as a whole. People might feel empty sometimes, but that's because they might not actually have the passion for whatever they're trying to do. So, all in all, I feel as though personal success and failure plays a huge role coming from personal choice. Personal choice leads to personal success and failure, actually. That's what I feel like. And honestly, I would prefer to live in a world like that, because in a world where luck controls everything, what if I'm unlucky? What if I'm the loser? That's it for my speech.